Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here with Jerome Gessaroli. He is a fellow at the Macdonald Laurier Institute, a senior fellow, I should say, as well as other attributes to his academic work. But we're talking about all of these business subsidies for this program. So I want to try to unpack a little bit more about the public policy goals, because I think it does animate why $13 billion here, $5 billion there is going to some of these new plants. What about this public policy goal like green energy and green technology? Is this part of the rationale from the government's perspective?
I believe that they would agree that is the case. They want to attract clean tech type businesses, and electric vehicles and parts that go into them would be considered that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But you question how sustainable is this type of business strategy or industrial strategy for the country if you have to offer $13 billion to attract one plant.
Yeah.
Okay. And the distortion it causes in the economy can be very significant. I mean, we see the fallout with the Stellantis LG deal. Now they've halted production and they're saying, look, we have to negotiate a better deal. This is patently unfair. And it's further going to distort it. It's going to cost us even more now. In terms of taxpayer money to ensure that the Stellantis facility also goes ahead. So I think that one needs to seriously question whether if you can call them an investment, what the return is going to be. Remember, we can see what happens when we spend the $13 billion in the plant. Okay, there's 3,000 jobs that are created, but it's more difficult to see what have we lost out, what have we not been able to do with that $13 billion, because that's a lot of money. That's the single largest subsidy ever given to a company in Canada. Mm-hmm. And we'll see that, and I think we need to take a much closer look at these type of spending initiatives.
And that indeed is one of the demands of the opposition, is to give us some more details of the cost-benefit analysis of this, and what it means for our competitiveness, what it means for the taxpayer, in effect. Is that right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. We also have to keep in mind that this is not the government's money. This is our money, the taxpayers' money. Mm-hmm. And is there a case to use taxpayers' money, some of which comes from British Columbia, from Alberta, Saskatchewan, the Maritimes, Northern Ontario, Quebec, etc.? I mean, is that a good place to spend our money? But the other thing about it is that the policy, I think, is very questionable on how they're approaching this clean tech policy to throw money at things. For instance, we talked earlier about the minerals, the critical minerals. Well, we have a lot of the critical minerals in the ground, but we don't have them ready to ship yet.
No.
And we have a very, very poor regulatory process for approving and assessing new mines. And the government revamped it in 2019, the Impact Assessment Act. And in some ways, it probably made it worse. There's been 24 projects since the federal government revamped the act. There's been 24 proposals for new mines submitted.
Right.
As of now, not one of those have been yet approved. In fact, of the 4-phase process of this act, these 24 projects have not even got past phase 2 yet. Mm. So this is where they need to be putting their efforts and their resources. It's not headline grabbing, but it's very important policy work to make sure that the process is efficient to get these mines developed.
Yeah, because until you do that, you're left with the old supply chain, i.e., China, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, we still don't have any. We're not digging any of the minerals up and exporting them. It takes about 15 years
Yeah.
to get a mine approved from exploration to production in Canada, and that's just too long. And what the government does is that it increases the investment tax credit for mineral exploration. Well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't solve the regulatory issues.